what I'm going to do now is this pair of 7 leads here. I happen to smash the front end of my front plate there, and you can see some nice scratches on the lower frame there, and it's bent my support rod there. So what I need to do is replace that, because this is now exerting different forces on here, which then causes this section of the frame to warp, which then puts all this section out and twists your spring as well, and makes for jumping a horrible experience. So what we need to replace that with is one of this nasty old pair, or half a single power riser, which I believe this is the one I got free due to the fact that one of my other ones having a defect. So all you need to do this job is your Allen key that came in the box with your stilts and a 10mm spanner, and I'll come back to you once I've removed this section here. Right then, so far what I've done is undone these bolts here. They're not fully out yet, but I'll show you how to take them out in a minute. First thing to remember to do is, if you've got cuffs on, always, like I have here, I don't know whether you can see because it's better focus, mark where your cuff lines up and where the front lines up on the joint, because you know cuffs go in there, whole thing section moves, you completely lose the alignment on your cuffs, and then you've got to reset them all once you've done the job. So if we take these off now, hopefully they should come undone. This is the point where I can't do it. One sec. Right. You got a washer on that side, if you can see it, and there should be a washer on this side as well next to that one. Yeah, I don't know why this camera's just autofocused at a certain distance. It's my brother's that I kind of nicked, so bear with me. Next one comes off. Next one out. Bottom. Hold on a sec again. 3 and there's your 4th and final one out. Now, you can take off your brackets. Now I've got metal 7 leads brackets. You might have plastic ones if you've got pro jumps, or if you've got normal power risers without cuffs, then these should pop off. These ones are currently kind of stuck because, as you can see, I've got 7 cuff brackets, so incredibly tight. They've each got like these little notches in here that actually lock onto the bar so they can't rotate. So that's that section off and done. There you go, off that goes. Off, which leaves you with this section here. Now this is how your support rods are fixed on. A lot of people look at this and go, oh yeah, I can rip that section out there, just pull it down. The fact is, you honestly can't. You will wreck your support rods. This one's wrecked already, so it doesn't matter, but if you put them back in, you will honestly wreck them. You can see here. So next job is take these ones out, and on this side as well, and then undo these nuts down here. You can see here, and that should all just lift straight off. Right then, as I'm only replacing this support rod, I've only taken the nuts off on this side. I've left these ones on. What you got to remember is, let's see if I can balance this with my feet. This bottom one here is a nylock nut, so if you rip it off, when you put a new one on, make sure you put some Loctite on it or something. This one doesn't have anything, so it's fine, it's just a normal nut. These ones up here should both be nylock nuts as well. Again, if you replace them with a normal one, just shove some Loctite on it, should be fine. So I'll rip those out now. You hang on. So undo the nut on that side. Pop them down on the floor, somewhere where you know it's going to be. Same on that one. Again, you've got 2 washers, so you want to take your washer off with your nut where you know you're going to find it. Again, that one goes there. So then we should be able to pop. Right, one thing to remember is these top pieces on the support rods are under quite a lot of pressure. So as you undo them, I'll show you now if I can hold the camera with one hand. Plug that in there. They automatically start bending away from the frame as you're undoing it. You can probably see it better on that side. Yeah, see, it's already coming away because these sections here force outwards. It's just the way they're made, which makes them a bit of a pain to get back in. There we go, that pops out of that side. So now this one's free wobble around, but we don't want to replace that one, we're only doing this one. So take this bar out. There we go, you can go with that one. Now, we've already taken the nuts off the bottom of here. Now this should lift cleanly out, and voila, one support rod, slightly bent. So that's what your frame looks like without a support rod on one side. One other thing, generally when you're doing stuff like this, make sure you keep all your bits together and where you know what each piece is. So again, these are the black bars that go across, these are the two that go in the middle like that, I'll cross on this bit that holds it. I really advise you do that just so you know where everything goes. I generally don't bother because I've done it far too many times before, but you know, if it's your first time, seriously keep all your parts together in a logical order so you know where they go together, because otherwise you're going to be stuffed trying to put it back together the first time. So that's that section off now. Now I've just got to undo that bolt at the bottom. Okay. Right then, so we've got our power riser support rod off of our power risers. Now they're going to go across here onto the 7 legs. So first thing to do, excuse me while I shut it down there. Again, keep all that logical so you know what's going where, but don't follow what I do in videos a lot, because a lot of the time I'm just throwing stuff around everywhere. So this one, now you got your hole there for it to slot into. Oh, lose my camera. Make sure you got it around the right way, and hopefully you can see what I'm doing in these slots. Into the bolt like that. Now then, these should, if I'm lucky, there you go, sorted. Lined up nicely. Down to the bottom. Next job, these bolts in here. Right then, so that's those bolts in there done, sorted. Next job, little nuts on the bottom again. Now hopefully I can actually show you this if I can balance it on my leg right. The only downside to stilts, you can't really do much without having to hold on to them one hand, but we'll see if we can do it. This is the point where I look like a complete spaz. Not that I don't already, doing a video on how to rebuild stilts, but still. To do. Right, that's that one in place. Then you want, yeah. Let's do a second, there we go. Put this one in place. Go, that's in bolted on. The reason you've got two nuts is then those two lock in together so they're nice and tight, because if you lose one, if you've only got one, it's much more likely this one's going to come undone and come spiraling off, and then this whole section as you jump is going to move up and down and up and down, and again warp this whole section of frame under the foot plate. So when you've looked at it from the front, rather than being nice and straight like that, all the bottom of the frame will be straight, but your foot plate will look like that, which then makes repairing everything a right pain because you need to replace this whole section of frame here and this section of frame here. Generally your hoof should be alright, but really ideally you don't want it happening. So now you can see we've got one 7 leg support rod, obvious from the yellow colour, and this one's an old power riser one that's probably about 3 years old now, but it's not bent, so it should work hopefully nicely. Now just put a cuff back on and we'll be done. This isn't a rule as such, but it's something I advise, is when you're doing your bolts up here, I've done this one up, so what you should ideally do is move diagonally and do your bottom front one. So then you've got equal pressure, and then at the top and the bottom on those sides. Then do your top one here, so you've got equal pressure on those three, and then do the bottom one, so you go cross, up, across. So there we go, done. Those back on, nicely done up, cuff in place, lined up to the black marks if you can see them at all. Don't know if it'll focus, probably won't, but there's one there, and you can probably make out one there. I also put one on the back there, and there, everyone have done it before, but I ignored those this time because that's my current setup on the front. So that piece is now all in place, all down through that, done, no longer bent. Nasty dodgy bent ones there. Now all I've got to do is rebuild these ones. So there you go, that's that done, and that took me roughly 25 minutes or so. So there you go, that's how you replace a stabiliser rod.